Welcome back to this week's episode of Modern Tech and Transformation. As promised, I am back with Abdul Rahman Zafar, and we are going to talk about overcoming AI failures. So in 2020, which was before what I consider the AI revolution, Gartner said that 80% of AI projects will fail. Obviously, that number is probably a lot lower now, fast forward 4 years, but there are still a lot of projects that are failing. And at RTS, we want our clients and our client partners to be successful. So today we're going to talk about overcoming those failures. So to get started, Abdul, let's talk through some failures you've seen and just start sharing your knowledge with the audience.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Carla. Absolutely. So let's talk about some numbers here.
Okay, more numbers.
More numbers.
We thought we were done with that last week, but we're back with more stats.
Yeah. And these stats are actually, they haven't really moved much. In the last 3 to 4 or maybe 5 years, I continue to see numbers in low 30s or 30%. And it speaks to why we continue to see failures. So although you can categorize these failures into multiple areas these which are as simple as AI was too disruptive. How can AI be too disruptive,
Yeah.
right? But there's an answer for that, because if you begin to have AI first mindset, and it's not just technology that you have to deliver, you have to close the loop with people, process, technology. And I will continue to put emphasis on this. So let's look at people. With the advent of new techniques and technologies and new platforms, everything coming together, we're not actually pulling our people up and training them in a way where they can deliver. We're not utilizing platforms in the right way. We're not partnering with the right organization that can help you deliver that promise. So the numbers are actually stacked against us. If you look at, technology did not perform as expected, you're talking about like over 30%. They're saying that technology did not perform. The other ones are data. Quality of data. Every time we talk about AI, our conversations start with data.
Yeah.
Having the right data at the right time, in the right format, and the quality. Let's not forget about the quality. So if you have not really put emphasis on data, you have not solved your AI problem.
That's a good point. So Abdul, you set the foundation, but when an AI project fails, I know you are going to always continue to preach people, process, technology is important, but what root causes are you seeing? Is it data bias, data integrity, culture? What are the main blockers of AI projects failing?
I would say it's all of the above.
Okay.
And here's why. First things first, we need to have the right team in place. So teaming is very important. With the right roles, you need a data scientist, you need a business SME. You have to be able to understand the use cases. And those use cases have to be explained to the right people, to the data scientists and other team members. And then going through use case grooming and actually delivering value, and how do you continue to monitor and manage. So again, going to top-down approach rather than bottom-up. If you're taking bottom-up approach, then you're going to experiment and that's it. You're not going to be able to make much headway. But in terms of AI maturity curve, the only way to be in a state where you're actually delivering value has to come from top-down.
So you just mentioned AI maturity. Interested to understand more about that. What does that look like? What are the stages in maturity? I think that's essential in making sure your AI projects do not fail.
Absolutely. So in terms of maturity, the highest maturity for AI would be having AI product mindset. And why is that important? With AI product mindset, now you have all of the top concerns laid out in a way where you're productionizing and productizing your AI. It's not just delivering ML ops, which is not even your mature life cycle yet. You're aspirational at that point because you're monitoring and you're managing, right? With the AI product mindset, you're actually delivering a lot more value. You're constantly monitoring, managing, and it has to be coupled with having the culture where the data has achieved a maturity level, and the pipelines are established, monitoring is all in place, and that would be your aspirational. But then again, how do we actually go from nothing foundational into more mature cycle? So there are multiple ways of looking at it. Foundational, let's just say the barriers to becoming foundational or anywhere in that maturity cycle is having the right tools and technologies and processes in place. And we want to democratize all of these for our consumers. Consumers meaning within different organizations within an enterprise. Having the ability to quickly experiment rather than have to continue to wait. Because as you start on a new journey, you'll find yourself barriers around technology, you'll find barriers around data quality. You're gonna have to go through a life cycle where the infrastructure teams are either tasked with something different, so they're not prioritized. Your data SMEs are actually busy. So you're going to continue to see a lot of that. So as I was talking about AI product mindset requires data to be available in a certain way with data quality. And data has to have a product mindset too. So if I'm HR and I want to have access to the data, this data should be available to me rather seamlessly rather than having to go through a request process. A request process is okay as long as it's available to me in a more meaningful way so I can actually see the value and generate value out of it. So we want to make sure that our clients are actually going from nothing to maturity cycle, and we are using tools to complement. So tools will always complement us as long as we know how to use them, right? So training people to the new is going to be very critical. I think the more, I would put a lot of emphasis on training and coming up to speed with new technologies. And then tools are obviously, it's the best tool that will always work for you.
So how long does this maturity take? I'm sure it's probably variable depending on the AI project, but if you had to give an example of a project and ballpark the maturity, if you can.
So it depends on the commitment from the organization too.
That's
I
a
mean,
good
the
point,
larger
yeah.
the organization, we will see change management to take longer. But if we're committed and we're actually delivering with AI product mindset, then we'll have all the foundations in place. Either it's technical architecture, either it's functional architecture, data architecture, all of those principles have to come together. So it may take anywhere from 3 to 6 months or maybe longer. But then it depends on how committed are we. It can start small and then it can grow.
3 to 6 months is pretty fast though. When you look at some enterprise application integrations 10 years ago, it was a multi-year project. So when someone says 3 to 6 months, sign me up.
Exactly, and then you go through maturity cycle,
Yeah.
right? Assessing where you are and subscribing to where you need to be is very important.
And how can an organization assess where they are? Some may know we have nothing, right? But some may be dabbling and think they're doing really good. How can they assess where they are?
There are multiple ways of looking at it. Are you AI first organization, right? So we'll continue to find AI getting utilized in so many different ways, but it's disjointed. Bringing it all together is going to be very important. So what that really means is having an enterprise level architecture principle in place. I'm not strictly speaking about, let's just have a COE.
Yeah.
COE actually activates a lot of things. Our data, our CDOs are no longer CDOs, they are CDAOs, right? That means now.
What does CDAO stand for?
Chief Data and Analytics Officer.
Okay.
So, and so what that really means is data takes the center stage, but at the same time, AI will elevate what we're actually looking for.
And most of your career you spent in data. So talk a little bit about the, I guess, progression you've seen in data over the years, just from your own experience.
That's actually a topic on its own.
Well, that means we'll have to have you back.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Now I'm intrigued and interested.
So our data platforms, which started out with data quality, we had an organization mindset for data governance. And now we have democratized all of this. We're using a lot of new features and tools and technologies to complement that. Data product mindset is actually a thing that needs to be implemented to democratize data, to make it available for data science and other type of experimentations or use cases. What's really important is, as we continue to shift towards more AI, we're going to continue to see the speed at which we need to have access to data. We're no longer going to see data pipelines that are batched. We're going to see real-time, near real-time in a lot of business processes. Either it's predictive maintenance or customer service, what have you. We need to have data at our fingertips. So data latency, the closer we are to real-time, the better we are. But at the same time, now, we need to have AI infused in this whole process to make it real.
Okay, that makes sense. So if there is data latency in your organization, try to address that first so you can ensure more of a successful AI
Absolutely.
implementation. That makes
Absolutely.
sense.
And the other thing about data, we're going to build models on a subset of data, but this model has to live in a live data,
Yeah.
right? So, and that this is going to be very important. I will continue to put emphasis on an architecture, right? Future-proofing your architecture with AI first mindset, just like we did with security. And although we're still not there yet,
Yeah.
it's a progression, and we continue to have to work towards it.
Absolutely. So as we're wrapping up, any other advice you have for the audience about overcoming AI obstacles or anything else you want to cover to help them better prepare for upcoming AI projects they might be visualizing?
Absolutely. I go back to being able to do things fast, right? We cannot wait. Businesses cannot wait. We live in an environment where we have to be able to experiment quickly. We have to be able to upskill ourselves and not continue to leverage what we know. I myself, I continue to focus on new research. And the research is always going to come, right? And we're going to continue to see maturity. But we have to keep up with the pace of the technology.
To end this episode, let's talk about a notable AI failure you've seen and how it was overcome to make it a success.
So we have seen a lot of failures, examples of a lot of failures, especially with generative AI. Just to give you a more recent example, a person purchases a ticket to go from Toronto to Vancouver to go to his grandmother's funeral, and comes back and chats with the AI agent around getting discount for bereavement. So the AI agent allocates the discount. The airline refuses to grant that discount. It goes to litigation, and the person wins. So what does that really tell you?
There's misalignment.
Exactly. So having the right guardrails for AI is going to be absolutely important. Governance is going to play a big role. And we want our clients to actually focus on not just delivering quick wins, but delivering quick wins with the right mindset in place, with the right security in place, with making sure that you have responsible AI baked into the process.
Yeah, don't cut corners. It's
Don't
not
cut
worth
corners.
it.
Absolutely.
Any other examples that come to your mind of
There are many.
failures?
There are many.
Do we need our own episode on just the examples?
We may have to. But yeah, there are many examples. What we're going to see is security is going to play a big role. There are ways of getting around security. We're going to continue to see solicitation from emails and others that are AI generated, right? So the threat vector has actually gone up, way up. from a security standpoint. So we'll have to be very sensitive about delivering AI, especially in the world of generative AI, in a way where we're looking at all dimensions.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, no, that was great. Very
Okay.
insightful as always, and I'm sure you'll see Abdul back with us again. And I want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Carla.